My thesis is named Strategies Implemented in Improving Pronunciation of th and when utilized together and individually. The overall objective of learning English in Mexico as a foreign language is to be able to communicate in written and a verbal form. Speaking has always been one of the challenges that students have had in learning English or any other language. But when they are speaking, as long as their message is understood, then the goal is achieved. If there is omission of pronunciation, and in this case, pronunciation is a feature of speaking and should not be overlooked, but rather integrating it into teaching and learning it. There has been substitution of sounds for the th and the when they are pronounced. And it's important to identify what leads to these sound articulations that are not the target phoneme sounds in question. The objectives of the research is identifying the sound articulation that students make and improving pronunciation. If we are able to identify the sound articulation of the phonemes and guide students to pronounce them correctly, then that will lead to improving pronunciation. And if we improve in pronunciation, then their speaking will be much better. Speaking is one of the skills that is quite difficult, and it gives sometimes students insecurity, or they don't feel confident enough to speak it. So it is our job as teachers to guide them, help them, and be a role model. The research is still in process, so the two research questions are: which strategies can be used for reducing incorrect articulation in th and and in what ways do the strategies for the phonetic reduce incorrect articulation in the two target phonemes? If the strategies reduce incorrect articulation, then students will be able to pronounce correctly. And it's also important to identify in what forms or ways these strategies help students in reducing articulation difficulties for the two target sounds. It's important to identify what type of phonemes the two target phoneme sounds are. The first one is the th sound, which is a voiceless dental fricative. Now, when we say what is that, well, it has two forms. In this case, voiceless fricative, it means that when it is produced, the sound or the air that comes out from the mouth is not completely seized, but it is compressed, and in this case, it produces a hissing sound. And the second part of this this process is that the vocal cords are not vibrated. The upper teeth for the dental they are involved with the tip of the tongue, which creates the dental part. As we can see in the image, there has to be the two combinations, okay? So when it's the two forms are produced. Sometimes students have difficulty in pronouncing them. When we see a word in written form, the TH can be in the beginning, at the middle, sorry, or at the end of a word. So when the sound or the TH is in the middle or beginning, students tend to substitute it with the V, an F, or a D sound. And when it is at the final part, it is a T or an F. So this is some type of substitution that students normally do because they are not accustomed to producing these two types of sounds together. Sometimes fossilization occurs in sounds. Now, what is fossilization? Fossilization has to do with, it's a lexical feature that involves changing words that are similar in the native language and they try to produce this in the second form or in the second language in question, in this case from Spanish to English. That is what occurs. Now, another part that was identified in the literature review is the written form of TH. It is known that the TH has two sounds. It has the phoneme in question, and also it produces a second that it sounds like th. For example, the is written THE, but when we pronounce it, it sounds like a D. That's why the phoneme is like a D. And the other is so. That will be another confusion in students when they see a written form and they try to pronounce it, they confuse the sounds. For the second phoneme in question, it is an open mid-central unrounded vowel. What is that? The open mid-central refers to the tongue is at the center of the mouth, and there is some type of tension to the tongue. As we can see here in the diagram, the symbol, let me point it out. The symbol is here in the middle, so it's central mid. That's the function that this sound has when it's produced. In the Spanish phonetic system in Mexico, this sound is not common, it doesn't exist. Therefore, it is sometimes difficult for students to try to produce it. In this case, the central lax sounds, which is the one that we also see in the chart, it doesn't use the center part of the tongue. So the lips are neutral and the mouth is slightly open. So when we produce it, it's like as you can see in the mouth, it is slightly opened, not necessarily, and there is tension in the tongue. This is a phoneme that is quite difficult for students because they are not used to putting tension in the tongue. There is different pronunciation of vowels. In this case, this comes with the differences between the Spanish and the English system. Spanish system, it has the 5 vowels, and the 5 vowels, you always have the same sound. In English, it's different because we have many different sounds for the vowels. There is also language transfer. What does it refer to, language transfer? Language transfer has to do with the differences between the two languages. And in this case, the first language, native language, in this case Spanish, is used. So it involves grammar, vocabulary, structure, and sound. And in this case, the sound is used to try to produce the two phonemes in questions, which are sometimes not correct. The second part is the methodology. It is going to be focused or centered in a case study. In this case, there are 4 target students who are learning English as a second language, depending on the reasons of trying to get a better job and trying to receive a certification from the institute that they are in, to be able to have their bachelor's degree or some type of certification from the university. These 4 target students, they present difficulty or they are faced with the challenge of trying to produce the 2 target phonemes together and individualized. Now, the purpose of how this is going to go is the following. The type of strategies that will be implemented or they're going to be used is the following. There's going to be a video recorded native speakers. The native speakers, because they are more fluent in it, they will be able to see a video where they can probably also see the part of the mouth when they are using the sounds. Also, practice ear training. Even though pronunciation has to do with the mouth, ear training is very important because we have to listen how the sound is produced or heard in order for us to produce it. There is implemented the phonetic drilling in order for students to be accustomed to phonetics. In this case, in Spanish, we don't really use phonetics. In English, yes, because it helps us identify how the vowels or the consonants are pronounced. Tongue twisters are also very important, and the purpose of tongue twisters is obviously to facilitate the the tongue, have like some type of exercise with the tongue, the mouth, for these two target phonemes. So it is the purpose of tongue twisters as a strategy is for students to practice or to warm up their tongue, their mouth, their teeth when producing these two phonemes in question. There has to be precise teaching on pronunciation. We cannot just generalize pronunciation. Pronunciation involves intonation, stress, and in Spanish, it's known that Spanish is very it's not stressed, and in English it is. And also the use of mirrors. Mirrors. The purpose of mirrors is for students to see themselves, reflect themselves with the mirror, checking how they are producing the sound, what is the form that the mouth is taking when they are producing it. And in the case of age, it's important also because age is relevant in this case. For younger students, it's not maybe giving them like precise explanation will not help them retain. It's more of giving it into practice. With adult students, well, it will be a little bit easier for them to also understand and take the process because adults retain more on information and they're more analytical. So that would be the use. These are my references from where I received and I found the information. So thank you very much. And